Testing, 1, 2, 3.
You've got all your Charger gear on because...
I look good. Hey, bite down from play one now.
And he is dicked.
Those guys don't all suck.
I love you too. Bye.
You have to love what you're seeing on tape if you're a Chargers fan, especially for the future with Justin
Herbert on the move and throws and touchdown.
You don't let all the noise affect you. You don't worry about what's going on outside of the field.
Oh, yeah. Stay tuned for some good content.
Good Lord. Welcome back, everybody, to the Charger Chat. I'm your co-host, Wool Dog, sitting with none other than the Duggan brothers, like Kev, Hug, and Duggan.
I'm just sick to my stomach.
And Kyle, the coach, Duggan.
Fuck.
It's not every day that we get an F-bomb from the coach, but it is absolutely deserved on this Monday evening because, jeezy, crazy, we didn't think it could get this bad. This is absolutely that was the worst game, as far as I'm concerned, in Charger history. That was unbelievable. There is no reason this team should have lost 45-0. I can't wrap my head around it. And you're looking at the Patriots as a team that was already down like 9 guys going into this season because of COVID, players that opted out to not play. You're looking at a quarterback that had only thrown 4 touchdowns the whole season. How does this happen?
I don't know. I've never felt like this. This is bizarre because, like, the last time we lost like this, I was -20. Like, I was so far from a thought of being brought into this world. It was 1964 last time we lost worse than this. So,
but even that game wasn't a blowout, though. That game, we at least put points on the board. We could not put points on the board in this game.
I don't know, man. It got kind of just like numbing there at the end where you're watching this happen. And then as soon as that kick happened at the end of the first half where it got blocked and returned for a touchdown, I was like, this is only going to get worse. I just hope nobody gets hurt. That's where my brain was at. I was like, there's no coming back from this.
Yeah. How do you guys feel? I mean, that was kind of a big thing. Like, Coach Lynn got asked after the game, you're getting your just ass handed to you, and you leave Justin Herbert in there he's just getting walloped on every play.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my issue with it. It's like your time here with us, Lynn, is going to be pretty short, man. He's our future. Don't fuck with our future.
Mm-hmm.
Don't leave him out there to get beat up like that. I know you're trying to instill some kind of, we got to work through this and you'll be a better person because of it. Tell that to an ACL. Tell that to a destroyed knee.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to hear that. We were down 35. Pull the guy out of the game.
Right.
And from what I was gathering, like, Herbert was asked why he was in, and then the Coach Lynn was asked why he was still in. Both of them had different answers. Coach Lynn said that he talked to Herbert and he wanted to stay in the game. And then when Herbert was asked, he said there wasn't any conversation. I didn't have it. I don't remember a conversation with Coach Lynn about that. So
that's interesting.
There is no leadership.
Yeah.
Everything is falling apart. Everything is falling apart.
Do you think a little bit of it is Coach Lynn trying to blame it on a rookie quarterback? Trying to dish off some of the... I mean, he's been kind of a douche towards Herbert all year.
He has.
Never really giving him full, reins to the offense and not giving him credit publicly. And then, maybe a little of it's like, hey, I have a rookie quarterback. I need another year to figure this out.
What's telling to me, and I don't know if you can change it, I'm sure you can, is the fact that Tyrod Taylor's still a captain. Like, why is he still the captain of this team right now? Like, Lynn is so clearly was on that train so hard that even his status as a captain hasn't changed. Like, there's just so many things going on
behind the scenes, though. That's the thing.
You don't. There's so many questions. There's so much confusion. Everyone is confused. You listen to some of these players talking like, I've never experienced a loss like this. We've experienced a lot of losses in the last 2 years, but nothing on this scale. And the fact that Coach Lynn is still sitting there with a job is just a reflection of the Spanoses and their inability to put people in the right place to get us to where we want to go.
Yeah. The only thing that I can think of is we wanted to not lose the way we did. Somebody, and maybe it was Herbert, and maybe that was his not wanting to say that he wanted to go out there. I don't know. That's really interesting that they both had different answers. But I mean, as I'm watching the last death throes of this game, I'm like, they got to put points on the board. Like, even if it's trash time, touchdown, even a field goal, I'll take a field goal. Like, you just got to put some kind of points on the board. It can't end this way. And sure enough, it did. And I mean, you want a recap of the game? Here's my recap of the game.
That was the most succinct, perfect description of a game I've ever heard, Adam.
I mean, I'm looking at it like you can't even like sing anybody's. The only person that you can sing the praises of is Kenneth Murray. That guy, and probably Justin Herbert as well. I mean, because he's at least trying, and I know there's other guys trying, but Kenneth Murray was visibly fired up, trying to get these guys
he was going all out.
And it didn't happen. And I don't know what the reason is. I mean, this was probably a worse game than the week prior for Herbert. I haven't really looked at the stats, but he didn't score a touchdown. So by that alone, it's his worst game as a Charger. And for the defense to allow 45 points. I mean, obviously special teams was the biggest issue.
You got to look at it. The Cam Newton threw for 60 yards, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that we lost by 45, I don't.
To a quarterback that threw 60
There's
yards.
nothing you can look at.
Jarrett Stidham, the backup, threw for 61 on 3 passes, and Cam Newton threw for 69.
It's
in
just
the other 3 quarters.
That's still 130 yards, 130 yards. Like,
good Lord.
To have quarterbacks throw for 130 yards and you lose by 45, this is the special teams. They weren't just giving up points. They were having too many men on the field. Let's run you down with a nice little recap of what our special teams did this week. And this is everything. They gave up points. They blew, stopping them on 3rd down, 4th down, and then this happens. So here we go. Here's a little rundown.
Here's your game recap, folks.
They missed a field goal, allowed a punt return for a touchdown, had 10 men on the field, false start on a punt, had a field goal blocked, returned for a touchdown, had a holding on a kickoff return, 12 men on the field for a punt, an allowed second big return by Gunnar Olszewski for 61 yards. Like, this right here is just like what we should have been down, 14-0 going into halftime, not 35 or whatever it was at half. Like, it's the special teams, man. And the fact that Lynn now is saying, I don't know if you saw the thing where he's talking about wanting to, there's too many voices in the special teams room now. He's going to take over and run the special teams. Like, do it. Good. Then we'll know exactly who to blame. There's no more guys you can throw the shit on because it didn't go your way. Like, this is literally everything that you could do wrong on special teams happened that last game. And it continued to happen. And it's crazy.
It is.
It's
I mean,
just crazy.
You lose George Stewart and you expect something to get better, and it only gets worse. You don't know what to say. Like, it's hard to sing anybody's praises, but it's left us I mean, not really wanting to do this show. Like, how can you do a show for a team that just lost 45-0? Like, this is, I mean, getting into this was taking medicine.
Yeah, we can't do a shamelessly positive podcast this week. That's just impossible.
And
no.
And the unsung hero in all of this podcast right now is my man Kevin Huggin Duggan, who puts together an outline every episode. So he never gets enough thanks and praise for putting it together, and especially for this episode, because, man, like, the amount of just utter shit that Huggan had to like sift through like a cat box, like trying to find like, well, here's a nugget. Like, man, I don't envy Kevin being in the position. So
let's just say he did more prep work than our coaching staff does for Sundays.
I mean, clearly, and that's the thing. So after we released our episode, this last episode, it came out that Lynn basically told the team that there was no chance of making the playoffs. And the quote is, "I will always want to show them the big picture every once in a while," Lynn said. "The playoff hunt is probably not going to happen at this point, as best we can do. And I don't think that's going to be good enough. But we play for each other and we play for the love of the game." Like,
you weren't eliminated from the playoffs.
No.
What are you doing, Lynn?
Yeah.
What are you saying?
Yeah. I don't know what does that do? Like, what is the benefit? I can understand, like, you know what, every now and then you want to be real with somebody. Sure, I get that. But in this situation, like, being real is that we still have a shot. We still can make it. Yeah, a lot of weird things are going to have to happen for us to make it.
A lot of weird things.
But it's still possible. So why would you pull that rug out from this team, from under this team, and let them just smash their face? I don't get it.
It was the least thought out answer to a reporter question. You know that kind of question's coming. He didn't have any response on deck. And there's no way you say that the season is over. Like, he's given up. That's all that says, is he's given up on the season, and now it's time to turn his thoughts to something else. Like,
right.
How are we gonna, like? I know it's almost like, Kevin, you texted us this week. It's like a reverse preseason. It's like the last 5 games of the year is now, okay, who's gonna stay on the team?
Try some people out and see what happens.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's all that it says. It says to me that he slipped, and he showed his hand, that he's given up, that he's quit on the season, and that's very, very clear, I think.
I just have never heard of a coach doing that.
No, I've never heard a coach do that.
Ever. This is a new for me. Even like the bad teams, even the Jets, I'm sure haven't said this. This doesn't need to be said. It's obvious. You don't need to tell your players. They have Adam
Gase. They're mathematically eliminated, and he's still saying, you know what? We got a chance.
Right.
We're going to get after him this Sunday.
And they almost upset the Raiders. And
oh, God, don't get me started on that.
I'm just saying.
Everyone in Charger Nation was so happy that the Raiders were going to lose to the non-win team, and then they just fired their defensive coordinator because of that bullshit last play.
Yeah, no, and rightfully so. But the point is, they still went out there and played their balls off.
Yeah,
even though they're
45 to
out,
nothing.
They're done. Like, it's not going to happen. But they still played their balls off. Like, I can understand if Lynn made this comment to like a friend and said, "Look, between you and me, it's not going to happen." But
yeah, right.
When you come out publicly, or if you say it to the team, like, these are the guys that are supposed to win, like. And then you cut to this game, this last game that we just had, and they lose 45 to nothing. Like, how much of that do you think is reflected of what Lynn said to this team? Like, are the guys going like, well, coach said it's not going to happen, so I guess we'll go out there?
I don't think that's it. Like, the players knew that too. Like, they knew that behind closed doors, but to hear your coach publicly go say that, you lose a little bit of trust in the guy, and you lose a little bit of passion to play for him.
No doubt.
When you come out and you basically have said that we're done. Our season's over. Okay. Like, yeah, they're all professionals. They all want to play well so they can get paid. No doubt. But they are still competitive. That's how they became professional football players. They all want to win, no matter what. Like, they want to play well so they get paid, but they also want to win. No one's going out there like, oh yeah, I got my big contract. I'm cool if we go 0-16 the rest of my career.
Right. Why shouldn't you?
No one wants to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think an interesting thing, like, we're all talking about what he did say. We pulled a clip from, it was really interesting, and we don't usually like to pull clips from other people's podcasts, but this was so insightful. It felt like we really needed to. And this was from the Pat McAfee show. And Michael Lombardi was talking about Coach Lynn. So let's just listen to this.
He doesn't talk to the team before the game. Anthony Lynn doesn't talk to the team before. There's some head coaches that don't talk to the team before the game. Can that? Not talking to the team, hey, fellas, let's go. Here's our reminders. We got to start fast. We're going to do this, this, this. Here's what we're going to do. I'm not talking about Newt Rockney bullshit. I'm talking about talk to the team. Tell them what they got to do. He doesn't talk to the team. I mean, the bad coaches. Walsh told me this in 1984. 1984, he said, there's just a bunch of guys that are well-paid gym teachers working in the league. And what he meant by that, guys that just roll the ball out and say, let's play kickball today, as opposed to being tactical with your approach.
Wow. So they just go in the locker room, get dressed, and then just walk out on the field when they feel ready?
From what Mike Lombardi was a coach, he's done all the stuff. That's what he said that he has heard, is that Coach Lynn doesn't say anything to the team before they go out to play. Have you ever heard of something like that?
That's incredible. No, like, even if you give a corny speech, hype talk, you do it. That's just, even if you're not good at it, that's just, as a head coach, you're the motivator. You like cast the vision and like remind the game plan. Even if you have coordinators, obviously, but like he likes to be super involved, you just bring the guys together and create that unity and like oneness before you go out on the field. I can't believe that. That's how does he know that? Is that real?
That's what he said. He has insight from players and stuff, and I'm sure we can try and dig and see if that's fully the case every week. But he wouldn't say that off the cuff if it weren't true.
Yeah.
Right.
Like on a show like the Pat McAfee show, you don't say that kind of stuff without.
Right. No, it's gonna get out there. People are gonna hear it. You're gonna get called out if it's not true.
Which is interesting because we've seen plenty of video clips of Lynn giving a post-game speech to the guys in the locker room. And it's not the most like tear-jerking or Academy Award-winning moment, but he at least has something to say. And to be in this season now and to just not have anything to say before any game, like not just like, even if it was just 2 sentences, like, all right, let's go. Like something.
Win one for the Gipper
to
boys.
get everyone together. Yeah.
Right. Like it doesn't have to be, but that's incredible. So
that's weird, dude. I've never heard of anything like that. I know the NFL. I've never coached the NFL, but I've never been a part of a football team that you didn't have at least the coach giving you something before the game.
Yeah. Well,
glorified PE teacher is what we have.
I
guys.
mean, that's the word on the street right now. So
how on earth does he still have a job? What, like, let's talk about it. Like, what are the pros and cons of this guy still having his job?
I think the big things are it's just a really weird year with COVID. They're not going to just, because they're going to have to promote somebody within to be that position. And clearly no one at that facility is capable of stepping up. That's what they're thinking. I wouldn't know. I think that's a big one too. They say everyone likes him. So I don't know, dude. It's just embarrassing.
I mean,
it's just
embarrassing.
embarrassing.
That's the thing you hear from everybody that has talked about the Chargers and the coach situation always prefaces it by saying Anthony Lynn is a great guy. Like, I get, like he's a totally stand-up dude. Obviously the players get behind him, but is just not capable of coaching at least this team in this situation right now.
Yeah, and he's not a head coach. That's just
right.
That's what this whole 4 years with the Chargers has shown is he's not a head coach. He's a good coach, and I think he would be a great OC again somewhere, and that's what he'll do after this year. But he's not a head coach. So what I think, unfortunately, what this is doing is making our franchise look like that much more of a joke. That mediocrity, that losing, that it's okay, we'll still keep you around the rest of the year. And it sends a message to the players too, like that's just, we're okay with that. Like I understand not wanting to ruffle feathers and like there's 4 games left, blah, blah, blah. Like I saw one of the mini Chargers website, like Charger websites out there was saying him sticking around. Like it'd be cool to see Pep step up, and maybe Pep was a head coach in the XFL. Like give him a shot. What do you call timeouts? Like you could probably do a better job than Anthony Lynn's doing right now, calling timeouts.
Right.
Yeah. We have all the coordinating positions settled. The special teams is going to get worse. Like
I don't know,
I think
dude. I don't know. After
message.
last week, I didn't think it. After one of the weeks previous, I didn't think it could get any worse. And like they had these, there was some stat where it's like the single worst performance on special teams since like 1999.
Right. So it's not going to get worse than what we just saw this week.
I guess you're right. I think we might have hit bottom, but if
We had to have hit rock bottom.
You really
I
hope.
mean, it does, if it gets worse, it's like a comedy. So yeah,
Right.
I don't know. I don't like the message that it sends with somebody that's clearly has verbally given up on the season. That I don't know. I don't understand the point of him being there right now. I know he's a great guy off the field and he does awesome stuff. And we were all huge Lynn supporters coming into the year, but he's just continually and perpetually done stupid crap to just prove that he's not a head coach.
Well, and I think one of the big things was like Ian Rappaport said recently. He says, as disappointing as the Patriots' loss was, no Chargers head coach change is imminent. The organization has a tremendous amount of respect for Anthony Lynn, always has, and would prefer to evaluate everything at the end of the year.
It's bullshit,
It's a
dude.
move.
We didn't sign we didn't have respect for LaDainian Tomlinson. Didn't give that guy a contract.
No.
Like that's bullshit. Just that's not what this league is about, is having respect for people. If that's what it was, you'd waste a lot of money all over the place to respect people. Like this business is about winning football games,
Right.
and we're not doing that. And we're not even close now.
No.
Biggest
we were
blowout
close
in our
early on.
history of our
2 consecutive
franchise.
games where we were not even in the game.
Yeah.
No.
And he just looks he's over there looking clueless.
Continuously. Like not, I mean, again, I mentioned it in a prior podcast, like there's no emotion in this guy. He is just a dead fish on the side. And at least every time the camera cuts to him, like you never see him fired up. You never see him trying to pump anybody up or anything like that. He's just there. He's just occupying space on the sideline. And it's so frustrating. And I can only imagine as a player for that team, how much more frustrating it can be. Mina Kimes had a pretty hot take on why we haven't replaced the head coach position. The Chargers head coach job is attractive in many ways, but it's also like buying a house where someone was murdered.
Jesus.
That was pretty awesome. I saw that on Twitter. I was like, I gotta
that
drop
was
this in here.
hilarious.
This is too funny.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah.
Sad but true.
Yeah.
We're living in a horror
I mean,
movie.
there's still a body outline on the floor. Like, geez, like it's man.
Anthony-ville horror style.
It really is. This year, I mean, even outside of football, this year has been pretty much a horror story. And at least for the Chargers, it's just been that much more real. Well, and apparently there was some interesting stuff that came out of Joey Bosa at the end of that game. And man, did it sound... it's rough.
Yeah, it's rough. And he talked about, he was on a Zoom, and I think he was Zooming from his house, and he basically talked for 15 minutes, and it was just a lot of just uncomfortable silences and sad moments. So we took like the essentials of what he talked about and kind of condensed it so everyone could hear. So
all right. Well, here's a best of depressed Joey.
It's pretty obvious that there's some problems, but I'm going to show up. I'm going to play hard for the rest of the year. So I don't know if everybody else is, but I think we have a good group. You could be emotionally ready, as ready as you possibly can, but if you're not ready with your scheme and you haven't studied up on these guys, you're going to get beat, especially by the Patriots. There's a lot of problems. There's a lot of different problems that would cause us to get beat 45-0 like that. I don't know. I think, I mean, it would be another thing if we're far away. We're so close. I mean, we have great players. We have a lot of injuries. You get some of these great players back. I mean, this is the first time I felt like this all season. Every single one of our losses have been so close. Could have went either way. So I don't know. I'm still very hopeful, and I think with Herbie back there and getting Derwin back and maybe drafting some good players, we could still be a really, really good team. But obviously it's frustrating when you're losing. So we've got to figure it out.
Good
yeah,
Lord.
dude, that was just like, It's exactly how I feel about everything. It's like we're this close, but we're not getting it
It's
done.
exactly how I feel. We're a great, good team.
We're a great, good team.
Great,
Like
that's not right. We're
great,
a good team.
We have great players. We have great, good players.
Good players.
Like there's a lot conveyed in that. And one thing I want to ask you, Kyle, the big one was like when he's like, when basically he sounded like they didn't prepare well enough or they didn't scheme for them.
Yeah,
And
there's a lot there, man.
The rumor is that like people have said about the Gus Bradley defense is it's just the defense. They don't scheme for specific teams all that much. So what did you take out of that?
Yeah, I don't know. Like if he expands on it, you can dig into it a little bit more, but you don't know who he's talking to or about, or obviously there's something wrong. And that's how he started this whole conversation is he says, obviously there's something missing. We're doing something wrong. And I think that's shots fired at the coaching staff.
I was going to say, it didn't sound like, boy, there's something wrong and we don't know what it is. It sounds like there's something wrong and I know what it is, but I'm not going to fucking
I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there were shots fired at the coaching staff. It sounds like I don't know, like hearing him say like, I'm going to bust my butt, but I don't know if everyone else is going to.
Yeah. Damn, dude.
That was sad to hear that.
That's pretty rough. Yeah.
It makes you wonder. I mean, we don't analyze all the plays, so it really makes you wonder if there were people that were just dragging ass out there and not giving their all. I mean, Joey Bosa, if anybody that saw the mic'd up from the week prior at Buffalo, do yourself a favor. That is one of the best mic'd ups I've ever heard. And he is playing and hyping other guys up. Like that was so cool. Especially on that fumble recovery too. Like that was just like, I took it from you.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting in that conversation. He was talking about like at halftime, like everyone was down and, Joey's not known to be like the talker, but he kind of said in that thing that he talked to a few guys and Kenneth Murray really bought into kind of what he was trying to say and
clearly
how proud he was of Kenneth Murray.
Yeah.
And balling out and just playing his balls off essentially. So this is what honestly, like, it's hard to hear this, but like to have players that are just like, don't address it, don't say anything about it.
Yeah.
Would piss me off even more. The fact that like our highest paid player on the team is invested, like we invested in him and he's invested in us. And I appreciate that.
Yeah. Big time. That's good to hear from Joey. And not just hear it, man. We see it. That's what's great about Joey is like he's not just going like, yeah, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to give it my all, and then nothing happens. Like you see it that he is absolutely giving it his all, and it's rubbing off at least on Kenneth Murray. Why it isn't rubbing off on any of the other guys, I don't know, or at least not that we're seeing. Denzel Perryman. I mean, we could argue that from the week prior that he rubbed off on Denzel Perryman, but man, that's just that's probably the most depressing thing I think I've heard. Like the loss enough was pretty depressing, but now to hear Joey, like I thought he was crying at the beginning. Like it sounded like he was like just like wiping a tear away after he said that. So I hope they take care of Joey and I hope they build this team to get better. Cause man, that's a guy that wants to win. Like really wants to win. Like this isn't a job. Like he wants to win. I hope we can, while he's with us on this awesome contract that he just signed, that he does it. Cause I think he's going to, by the end of it, he's going to very much deserve that. Yeah. Big time.
One thing I want to talk about too, is just like, we kind of alluded to it earlier with Herbert and how much he was getting hit and pressured and sacked.
The poor guy.
So we pulled up the Pro Football Focus, put out like their grades. So we'll just list these off. So the tackles, Brian Bulaga, Iowa, had a 62 grade. I'm just going to give you, the grades, whatever the grades are, I'm going to give you the rank out of what the position is across the league. He was 55th out of 78. Oh, sorry, this isn't for last game. This is just, I think, in general up to this point. 55th out of 78. Sam Tevi is 71 out of 78. Trey Pipkins is dead last as a tackle.
Fabulous.
Forrest Lamp, his grade puts him at 74th out of 83. And Trey Turner, getting paid $11 million next year, is ranked
he's not going to be on the team.
81 out of 83.
Dude, Trey Turner is a joke.
Yeah.
He's no good. And what about Storm Norton? Holy hell.
Right.
Oh, he had a good first series. So everyone was like, because the reason why, Tevy wasn't in there is because he had his wife gave birth and had a daughter, which congratulations.
Congratulations,
to him.
Sam.
That's wonderful news. First time anybody ever might have gotten a bump in there. How people look at him for not playing.
Yeah, I was missing him bad.
Big bad time. So, Storm Norton, he was bending over a lot, getting beat all over the place like that.
He got replaced by Trey Pipkins, dead last tackle in the league.
This is like a full rebuild on our offensive line, dude.
This is full rebuild of ones and twos. Don't even have. We need to get 10 draft picks and all offensive linemen. That's what we need to do.
I do still like Feeney though. I don't know if he could be
I love
better.
Dan Feeney.
I do. I
just think he needs to go back to guard. That's his spot. Right. He's still playing out of position and he's fighting and he's not the worst line.
He's the one lineman. He's the one lineman down the field at the end of most run plays, like still trying to hit people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So no. I do like
Feeney
to see
bumping
that.
back to left guard. Forrest Lamp can't do it. So Feeney back to left guard, and that's pretty much your spot. Like maybe you keep Tevy, but there's definitely 3 spots in there that actually Balaga. I feel like Balaga's hurt and playing poor. Okay, we need 2 starting linemen, and we need all new backups.
Who's starting right now with what we have? You got Balaga.
So I think Balaga. Tevy's not great, but I think that he's enough that
he's a 2.
With all the pieces that we need still. He's not the glittering piece that needs to be fixed. I think it's our right guard center spot is what needs to be addressed. And center you can get cheap. That's not a first, second round pick. You can get a good guy in the 3rd round that could potentially come in and start right away. So, it'd be great if we could go tackle 1st round, guard 2nd round, center 3rd round. That would be a
real
thing.
sign to Herbert. Like, we're looking out for you, bud.
Seriously, yeah. We don't want you to die again.
The one thing that surprises me about the line, and I haven't really heard anybody say anything about it, is there's no Quessenberry. And last year we had Quessenberry on the line and seemed to do okay, at least in the center position. But he hasn't. They put Storm Norton in before Quessenberry. Is Quessenberry even on the roster anymore?
Quessenberry's an interior
he's a center.
guy. He is.
He's a center.
He's an interior guy.
So he's been available.
He's a straight center though. Like that's his natural position. So, with Feeney, it's kind of hard to just switch him out. I guess that maybe if there's an injury, you would do that. But
I think it's time to start getting creative and trying. It's like you said, this is like the last 4 games, like the preseason.
Right.
I wouldn't mind seeing a Quessenberry with Feeney bump back to get Lamp or Turner out of there. Just see if it strengthens your line. Like right now, it's again, like I said earlier about special teams. Is it going to get real worse than last in the league or 71st out of 78 or I don't know.
Don't give them the opportunity is all I'm saying. Do not put that out there because it could happen at this rate.
I don't know, guys. I don't have any answers.
Our special teams is so embarrassing.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Looking at the special teams and looking at Badgley still having a spot on the team.
That blows my mind too.
Yeah.
He's just can't make anything.
He's a head case, dude. He's just in his head now. He cannot make a kick.
And I feel terrible for him.
Me too. I love the guy.
Yeah. But apparently, despite Badgley's struggles, Lynn said the Chargers won't be making a change this week. Badgley has missed 9 kicks and had a 10th attempt blocked. Kicker J.J. Molson is on the practice squad. We recently added him. If this continues, we might have to, Lynn said, on changing kickers. That guy's only here for insurance. So
if it continues, what do you mean if it continues? It's continued.
Like what's your definition of a streak, Anthony? Like what is it 10 times? Is it, fool me 9 times, shame on you. Fool me 10 times, shame on me. Like, what are you expecting?
I just keep coming back to this dude. He doesn't kick off. He is there to make field goals. That's his only job. He doesn't kick off. Our poor kicker, our poor punter is doing all the kickoffs. Like, dude, if you can't make extra points, you cannot be on this team. We can't have it, dude. Like, I'll take a chance with this J.J. Molson out of UCLA. Like, sure. I think he had like a good record at UCLA for like the most consecutive extra points. At this point, we just need to have 7 on the board. I don't need tons
just
of
extra
threes.
points.
Just get us the extra point. Put us at 7, so we're not having to go for 2 on our second touchdown. Like it's just, I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of it.
I mean, and the rest of the fans are too. We're tired of it, and that's what's made this so such a struggle to do this week's episode, because it's just. I mean, we're having some laughs. We're having some fun.
I'm actually feeling that a little better right now. So.
Yeah, but it's a hurdle to get over. I mean, we're still.
Oh yeah.
We're all still nauseous because, like I said, this is just the day after, and man, I mean, I'm still digesting it. I'm still reeling in what happened and what didn't happen, especially. Well, looking at the injury report, Denzel Perryman didn't play after injury to his back in the Buffalo game.
Needed him desperately in this game. Like our run defense was.
Yeah, he would have been a 45-point difference for sure.
I wouldn't say that, but we definitely. You son of a bitch.
Sorry,
for a hot second, I was like, "Wow, is he being real?"
I know, but like missing him, you could see that they could just run wherever they wanted.
Yeah.
Shut up, Adam. They could run wherever they wanted.
It was really funny.
He's not a 45-point difference maker, but maybe
20.
Maybe 20. I don't know. I missed him though, because just imagine him flying around hitting people with Murray going out of his mind, flying around hitting people. That would have been cool.
I want to see Kenneth Murray play on the outside. I want to see him line up as an outside backer, or I guess in our defense it would be an end, but I want to see him rush the passer. That's what he did in college, man. Like he was not a Mike backer that sat in the middle and read and reacted to plays. He was, I'm going to fly around and go make a big play. I want to see more.
And I'm on board with that because I'm tired. I'm getting real tired of Tillery and his unnecessary penalties at the worst possible time in every game. Like he just literally punched the dude's helmet off his head on like a third.
That was rough. Yeah.
It was like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah. We need to get, like I said, these are 4 preseason games. Let's move some people around. I think that could be, especially if you go to a 3-4 next year with whoever our new coordinator is going to be. I think Kenneth Murray on the edge is that's a scary prospect. It'd be cool to see if he could do it right now. And then you know what you need in the offseason. You go like, okay, like, I don't know. I want to see more of it. I want to see him rushing more. At
this point, there's
no career sack in this game.
At this point, there's no hurt in it. Like, what are you going to do? You know?
Right.
That's one of the things that I'm kind of interested in, at least getting your perspectives on it. Next game, who do you guys see in the quarterback position? Do they even put Herbert out there? Do they put Tyrod? Do they put Easton?
No, what did they just
Herbert
do?
Will be the game.
They played Herbert till the very end of that game when he should have pulled him out.
Down 45.
He's going to play every single game of the season. They're not going to pull him.
You don't think anybody's going to, pull any, Spanos are going to go, Lynn, come in here, sit down.
No, he would have done it.
Herbert out there. I'm going to
Dude, clearly they're being a bunch of pussies right now, and they're not even going to fire Lynn, let alone sit down and tell him what to do with the quarterback. Like, come on. No, he's going to play every game the rest of the season.
Yeah. I'm not saying I don't want him to play.
Right.
I mean, I don't want him to play because I don't want him to get hurt.
Right.
I'd love to see, if there's any records that are going to get smashed this season, it's going to be Justin Herbert smashing all the rookie quarterback records, which is fabulous. I'm totally down for that. But at the same time, we need to protect this boy. And there's obviously the line is not doing the job that it needs to do.
In this hypothetical world, I would want to see Easton stick because I don't think we're keeping Tyrod next year. I don't see the reason to pay him that kind of money to be a backup quarterback when you have somebody serviceable. So I would say Easton stick. And I think Adam from North Dakota, I was messaging on Twitter. I was like, why don't you just get your money out of Tyrod Taylor? He's like, because I want to see Easton stick play. I'm like, me too. I just realized that Easton stick will be more fun. So in that hypothetical world, I don't think it happens. I think there's still, he's going to play every game. Just please, God, offensive line. Tevy, come back, solve this. You're a father. You got dad strength. Just come back and fix everything. Keep our boy safe, please.
Yeah, it was really frustrating to see Cam Newton rush as many yards as he did, and Herbert to really just not have that chance or that opportunity to show what he's good at, not just slinging the ball, but also running with it. I mean, we've seen it in all the better games that he's had this season. I mean, he's had some big chunk runs, and these last few games have just been like, there's just nothing. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why that's happening, and I don't know why they're not utilizing that, or at least trying to make that aspect of it happen.
I just you don't want to mess with. You've already we've talked about this before. You've already messed with his psyche a little bit with this 45 loss. Like Herbert, you're not going to pull him out of the game. Like
no. Yeah,
you're
I
not
don't
going to
think you pull him
start
out of the
somebody
game.
else over him. It's just not a real world consideration.
No, but I mean, just reiterating the fact that like I wish I could see Herbert running more, like doing any kind of run plays. Like if the Patriots can do it, why can't the Chargers with Herbert, who is arguably a better quarterback than Cam Newton?
Well, I think there's an interesting. This just made me think of it. Like literally, Cam Newton's on a 1-year contract. They probably don't care too much what happens to him. They'll let him run wherever he wants. Our guy's brand new. We don't want anything to happen to him. You go back and look at some of these plays at the beginning of the year. You know, his first read in those situations was to run. Now he's throwing. Like there's a couple touchdowns in the last couple weeks where he'd have a full open lane to go run it in, but instead he throws it. Like that's just the coaching staff's
Right.
like protect yourself. But then when we get into the game where you're down by 35 and there's no chance of winning, they don't protect him. And it was just so frustrating. I was just yelling at a
it's
wall.
100% frustrating.
Just like, what is happening? So sorry, rant.
No, it's okay. We
I forgive you.
Yeah, this is therapy, as it is for the fans that listen and for us as individuals. We got to kind of talk through some of these issues that we see as fans. So let's now dive over into Coach's Corner, where Kyle will do something that will be more spectacular than Anthony Lynn has done all week. What do you have for us, Kyle?
Probably not. I just wanted to talk a little bit about potential coaches. That's what seems to be what everyone wants to talk about. It seems like the guy that everyone is dead set on is this Robert Sala, the defense coordinator for the 49ers. So I don't know. I just wanted to dig in a little bit on Bob Sala and see kind of what his background is. And I mean, obviously he's a good defensive coordinator. He's got great talent, and he helped take him to the Super Bowl. But so his coaching career, he was a defensive assistant in the college rankings for 3 years. And then he was a defensive intern for the Texans, quality control for the Texans, assistant linebacker coach for the Texans. And then he was a defensive quality control coach for the Seattle Seahawks. So like not huge positions. He was a linebacker coach for the Jaguars. And then he got the defensive coordinator position for the Niners. So it's been a pretty big jump from where he had been his whole coaching career to now with the 49ers. I only bring all that up because he's never been a head coach. He's never been a head coach. This is his first time being in the coordinator ranks in the NFL. It worries me. I'm not going to say that he couldn't be a great coach, and he may be. Everyone's dead set on this guy. We don't know him. Like we don't know anything about this guy. All you see is that the 49ers have a good defense. That's great. He could be the best defensive coordinator in the NFL. That does not mean he's going to be a good head coach. We saw that very clearly with Anthony Lynn. He was a good offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. He helped take them to the playoffs. He has not been a good head coach. It's no longer X's and O's as a head coach. You're not worried about that. It's everything else going into it. It's dealing with the press. It's setting up practice plans. It's setting up off-season schedules. It's having enough connections to bring in good coaches. It's having enough relationships to know what dietitians, what strength coaches, what these guys should be like. There's so much that the planning of practicing, what days they should travel, where should they stay, what time should they get to the stadium. There's so much that goes into being a head coach if you've never done it before, you may be good at it, but there's nothing for us to hold our hat on that this guy will be good at it. And so it scares me that we have a young, great quarterback that you have to capitalize on. He's got 4 years on this rookie deal that you have to capitalize on, because after that he's gonna break the bank. It's gonna be a hundreds of millions of dollars go towards our quarterback, and then the rest of your roster takes a hit. So we have to take advantage of right now. That's why I want somebody that's at least done the position before. Even if they didn't excel, obviously they didn't excel or they'd still have the job, but somebody that you bring in, you interview, you go, okay, this guy learned from his mistakes. He knows what he wants to do differently. He had an opportunity to coach under somebody that's done it really well since then, and now he's ready to go. So I'm not all in on Robert Sala. If he gets the job, perfect. I'll support him. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and see what he does. But I'm not all in on the guy. I don't think he's done enough as far as leading a team. I was a head coach for 3 years, and I never want to be a head coach again because it's a different beast. It's something completely different than being a coordinator or a position coach. You don't get to just focus on X's and O's and players. There's so much more that goes into it. So, yeah, I don't know. I wanted to give a little bit of a different perspective. Everyone will probably hate that perspective because that's what it seems to be whenever I try to give a coach's thoughts. But yeah, I don't know. That's great if this is who we want. I would just say, like, let's not all get dead set on somebody because there's so much that goes into this. And yeah, I don't know. What do you guys?
It's that hype train thing too. It's like what I did
Yeah.
with the Tua, where I was like, "God, Herbert's not going to be as good as Tua." Like that's what media was telling me, you know.
Right.
So it's hard to sit in there and be like, when you see one article on ESPN or it was somebody on a broadcast mentions something, and then you're like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea," and then that becomes your idea. So I'm being very reserved. So I'm curious to you, like specifically, if there's a head coach you see right now that would be a good option for us if we did have to pull the trigger on somebody next year.
Yeah, like I said last week, I just don't really know. I said last week Todd Bowles is somebody that is kind of higher up there and somebody that I think would at least be a good. I hope they bring him in to talk to him. He was a head coach. I know it was with the Jets and it wasn't very successful. But the guy's done it before. At least he's now with a program or an organization in Tampa Bay that's winning football games. It's a very different coaching style with Bruce Arians than what he does. So he has a little bit of a rounded perspective. Maybe it'll help him. I don't know. I just hope they bring in some guys that are a little bit more seasoned than these first-time coordinators that are having some luck.
What about like a college head coach? Somebody that hasn't coached in the NFL. And what do you think
For sure. Like an Urban Meyer, Harbaugh.
Yeah, like some of those guys. Like, what do you think? And Harbaugh's coached in the NFL, but like guys like that who have stepped up to the next level, is that a good thing or a bad thing in your eyes?
It all goes back to risk. I think there's risk in it. They're not all like a Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma. That guy's always been buzz about him making the jump up to the NFL. He's been a head coach. At least he's done that. But that guy's never coached in the NFL. Coaching an NFL player making millions of dollars is a lot different than coaching a college kid that is going to do what you ask him to do because he wants to just be drafted. So I don't know, man. Like there's so many elements that go into it. I'm not in those interviews talking to these coaches, hearing them out, hearing their vision for the organization. I just hope it's somebody that has head coaching experience. That's kind of what I would prefer.
Yeah, the only thing that I really have to add is I heard a bit from Colin Cowherd, and I honestly don't listen to Colin Cowherd, but a little blip popped up on YouTube, and I felt inclined to listen. And what he said at least made sense. Is that, and everything that you've already said, Kyle, is that like, why would you risk the future of this quarterback, this hot quarterback, on somebody that is a maybe, somebody that could maybe do it, and not somebody that is definitively going to take and do the absolute best that he can, not just with this coach, but with this team. somebody who has been there before. I mean, honestly, we've talked about the possibility of Belichick, and everybody kind of laughs and scoffs at it. But at the same time, like, why wouldn't you throw as much money at this guy, any coach, any winning coach, to try to get to the end, to try to get to the Super Bowl? Like, why wouldn't you do that? Like, a coach's contract money doesn't affect the cap space. I don't know where the money comes from, but you can throw as much money as you want at coach, basically, and it doesn't affect your cap space.
Roster.
Yeah. So why wouldn't you just spend as much money as you can to get a winning college coach, somebody like Bill Belichick, just somebody that truly can take this team and get them to the end, because it hasn't happened with Anthony Lynn. It hasn't happened with Mike McCoy, and Norv Turner is debatable, but it doesn't make sense to, I get it, because we're all just waiting for the news story to drop that Anthony Lynn is no longer with the Chargers, and I get that. So now all the fans are basically kids in candy store going like, ooh, what about this one? Ooh, what about this one? Ooh, what about this one? Like, there are a lot of opportunities out there and a lot of options, but like, this isn't a rebuild year. I mean, it feels like it now, like we're going to basically be getting rid of the whole anybody that just sucks. But at the same time, like, you've got those pieces in place, like Herbert, like Keenan Allen, like Joey Bosa, like Eckler. And you got to do something with it. You can't just, trust it to a coin flip and go like, well, maybe we'll win and maybe we won't, for a guy that hasn't been in that position before.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, because, like, you can spend whatever you want on a coach, right?
Right.
But you got to look at our ownership.
We won't.
Yeah, our ownership won't do that. They're just, I hope they make a change. I hope their new assessment value of the Chargers has gone up since moving to LA, which everyone has said that's why we moved there. I hope that value has gone up to a point where they're like, all right, let's pull the trigger. Let's be big boys here and stop hiring coordinators. We can start hiring some, big names, some guys that have track records of winning games, and knowing that they have a culture that they can bring to the Chargers that will instill. I like Urban Meyer. I like it just because of Joey Bosa and Urban Meyer.
I think it'd be great.
Joey Bosa won a championship with him. So that's what I'm looking at. But I just, you're going to have to pay these guys. College, they pay these coaches a lot of money in college.
Oh, absolutely.
They can make a good amount in there and really have full control over what the organization's doing. So it's up to the Span Eye. What are you going to do, Span Eye?
Yeah, we'll have to see what the Spanoses do. It's
what are we calling them, the Spanoses or the Span Eye? I like the Span Eye.
Well,
what do you think?
I don't care enough. It's just like it's just like, do you want to call them turds or pieces of crap? What do you feel like? Like, it's like, I don't know. Like,
he called the shit poop. He called the shit poop.
All right. It doesn't matter.
Span Eye makes me think of Peni, so bunch of dicks.
I like it.
So maybe Span Eye.
I like it. You're double dipping with it.
Span Eye.
Span Eye is. All right. Well, thank you, Kyle. Appreciate you giving us some more perspective on possible coaching future that we have with this team. It's all we can really look forward to at this point is when Lynn won't be there, and the amount of uprising that would happen if he, for whatever reason, is still there.
Oh, good Lord. Don't even say that.
I'm not saying that it'll happen. It really shouldn't, but just imagine what would happen.
I've already seen tweets of people like calling to try and cancel their season tickets for next year.
Season tickets.
People are already over it, dude. Already. Well, not a good sign. Got to do something, Chargers organization. Come on, boys.
Hopefully they man up and do something about it. If the fans can be that vocal about it and talk with their money, I think the Span Eye will listen to money, because money talks. All right, well, let's get out of Coach's Corner and let's go over to Fan Focus. I can't believe we have a fan to focus on this week, Kev. Who do we got this week?
It's funny you say that, because we actually recorded this last week before this game happened, because I was going to be out of town for work. So this fan is kind of a fan. He's kind of more of a dad to Kyle and I than fan.
Oh, okay.
But I think he's the fan. I'm just kidding. He's the fan. No, but when we talked, it was pre this game. So I know this would have been a completely different conversation if we would have talked after a 45-0 loss. But he had some good insights, and he's got a Chargers story that at the end of it that kind of really ties into what we're talking about right now with the culture and everything. So and he declares his favorite son. So it should be fun.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's turn it over to Papa Duggan in Fan Focus.
All right. We are here with a very special guest. Just so happens to be my pops. What is up, Dave?
Not much, buddy. How you doing, man? At least my favorite son is on the podcast tonight.
Hey, that's what I try and tell him every week. And it's, you coming out of your mouth. That's all that matters to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought he was going to be here to battle, but he just rolled over and gave it up.
Coach wasn't available to talk. I think he's too scared. The fact that you're a coach and he's a coach, 2 coaching opinions might not be good for him. So he had to back out of that. But thanks for coming on, Dow. I just want to kind of, we haven't had you on since like last year pretty much. So thought we'd have you come on and kind of talk about, the future of our team. Like, we're clearly not making any playoffs. We're kind of embarrassing ourselves at this point with the coaching staff and some of the decisions that are being made. Like, what is your kind of, where do we go from here?
Well, I think that the culture is key. The culture is what has the adjustment. I mean, if you look at it, you talk about the new age coaches and you talk about older coaches, and what are the 2 programs right now? What are the 2 franchises that continue to be successful every year? Not really matter. Yes, they have good players. The Chargers have good players. What makes them special? And that's who? Pittsburgh and New England. They have a culture. And what is that culture? You have coaches that have high demands and high expectations, and they're allowed to do that. Are they players coaches? I don't think so. I think they are. I think they've adapted, but I really don't think so. I think they coach and they put demands on their players, and their players rise to those expectations. Again, I think what a lot of fans and a lot of people misunderstand is that, you think of these guys as grown men. These guys some of them are 21, 20, 22, 23. These are still kids, man, and they've been babied since high school.
So do you think, like, moving forward, we should look more at a coach that isn't all buddy player coach, but more of a disciplinarian type coach? Because we kind of had that kind of before in McCoy. Like, he really wasn't a player's coach, and that didn't seem to work out too well.
What I mean by discipline is just expectation. The whole franchise has to develop an expectation that success is going to be expected. And that's really, really important. And everybody goes, well, no, everybody wants to win. Absolutely, everybody wants to win. But there is a way. Why are those teams consistently winning? Is, I believe, and I think Coach Lynn, just watching his demeanor and the way he talks to, I think he has that skill set. I just think he has to find ways to utilize someone to help him with basic time management. Since he started, I've always thought that's been the biggest problem. And then the issue is, in 1-score games, that's gonna rear its ugly head. It's one thing when you're winning by 2 or 3 scores, a screwed up timeout, nobody even cares. Nobody even looks at it. I'm looking long term about the culture. You can't change that overnight. There's no question about it. But as a 40-year fan now, I want there to be something that starts to lead him in that, where they're making the plays at the last minute. And then you walk into that locker room. One time I'll have to tell you about a story about John Mackey, all-pro, Hall of Fame tight end for the Baltimore Colts. And what he said about the Colts organization, and then when he came to play his last couple years in San Diego. But John Mackey went to the Colts, and he was in the locker room the first day he ever got there. And the equipment manager laid out his shoes, his socks, his practice shorts, and his gear on right next to his locker, clean, pressed, ready to go. And he goes, Coach, what is this? He goes, you will have this every day, because in this program, for this team, you look good, you play good. And I'm going to make sure you have everything you need to feel good about walking on that field. Well, and that's what it was like for him when he played with the Colts. And then when he came over to the Chargers, his world changed. And he goes, I walked up to them. I said, I expect to have my shoes polished, my clothes folded, cleaned, put on my bench. And the equipment manager looked at him and goes, they'll be in the bag in the corner. And the shoes, you do what you want to with your shoes. Doesn't matter to me. He goes, wow. I knew my world had changed.
Wow.
And that's organizations. And that's what I think Pittsburgh and what New England, they have those when you walk in, even from day one, it's that expectation from the owners, from equipment managers, everybody. And that's what I hope it can get changed for LA.
Well, I think that story is a great place to, wrap this up. And it does say a lot about the culture and where it is. And clearly we need to do something different. Something better needs to happen. So thanks for coming on, Pops. I appreciate it. And I appreciate being nominated your favorite son. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
Yeah, we had a little default issue here. He's going to have to step up. I know he said.
Hey, I'll take a win by default. That's good with me. I'll take that all day.
No, hey, I'm loving what you guys are doing. Adam's voice, I was hoping for a little more James Earl Jones, maybe. He did kind of torch me on that. The grandpa.
He's got some more old man voices coming for you. Don't worry about it.
You guys are doing a great job. It's fun to listen to you. And even when I disagree, I just send us a text. There will be no Twitter.
We expect to text every Wednesday morning after you listen, so keep them coming. All right, Pops. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye. That's
Love
right.
it.
You're looking at him, the number one favorite son. How you like that, Kyle?
Dude, he said it himself. It was by default.
Dude.
And the first time I saw him, because I actually still live in the same city as my dad, he said, "Oh yeah, I told Kevin that it was that he was my favorite son, but I was just messing around."
I'm just giving the baby his bottle.
Oh, really? I don't like what he's doing to us. He's getting in between the brothers. I don't know what's happening here. He's telling us one thing, doing another, some backdoor kind of compliments and love being
like
thrown
Coach
around.
Lynn and Justin Herbert at the end of that last game. There's some differing opinions.
If this is true, Dave, you're doing me dirty. I don't appreciate it. But he did say, we literally have it on record. You can say wadatever you want, Kyle, unless you have something recording him saying it. I don't believe any of the shit you're saying.
All right, I'll work on it next Sunday.
Just got creepy Kyle with like a hidden microphone. Just like
just
really
say
close to
that
Dad. Like,
yeah.
go ahead. You want to go? Say it a little louder.
Say it louder, Dad. Yeah. What, dude? It doesn't matter what Dad says. Your son says I'm the king of dads.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, that hits the heart.
That happened once, and it was an accident, and he's been reprimanded.
Yeah, he said that once on his own, and then you've coached him and reprimanded him until now he says you are.
All right.
This is true.
Let's agree to disagree.
So,
you're both just beautiful. You're both just wonderful.
Oh, God, I hate you so much, Kyle.
That was some great insight from Papa Duggan. I'll say it right now. I think Papa Duggan should be the next Chargers head coach. I'll say it right there.
I would second that.
He would do
I
that.
think he would do a
damn good
fantastic job
job
because he makes a lot of good points. It seems to be a culture issue.
That was a great story with John Mackey and like just what the different organizations do. Granted, that's a different organization, and 80s Chargers are different than the 2020 Chargers, but that carries over. So hopefully we can
that would be nice.
Out. Please.
Yeah, somebody,
for the love of God,
figure this out. All right. Well, thank you, Dave. As always, good to hear from you in your regular voice. And now let's give some other people some different voices as we go over to Ask Twitter.
Finally, we're at this segment. Finally.
We'll try to have some fun going into this. Let's start it off with a repeat Mike Nava, a.k.a. Mike FK7, who asked the question, at this point, what should they do? Fire Lynn now, or just wait till the end of the season?
Man. As much as I want them to fire Lynn, they're not going to.
Clearly, they're not going to.
If he survived this game, he's the coach for the rest of the year. It's not getting any worse.
What if? So here's a what if. The Atlanta Falcons are definitely capable of scoring. They beat the Raiders 43-6. What happens? We come out and lay an egg like we just did. If you don't fire him, I think there is possibility he gets fired. And if he has another game similar, I'm just telling you my opinion. If he has another game similar to what just happened, dude, there's gonna be pitchforks, there's gonna be torches, all standing out in front of that beautiful new stadium, demanding something. So unless they win out and like decisively or are taking it to the last minute, and there's no more gaffes on special teams, I think there's a real probability he's not the coach at the end of the year. If he messes up the way he has been, in my opinion.
I think it's wishful thinking. I think, going into this game, the little chestnut that everybody likes to, rub our face in is how much of a streak of games that we have where we lost by one score. And to have now this game where we lose by...
We lost by 7 scores.
Yeah, 7 scores. It's like, clearly something happened there. That's not a we didn't execute argument anymore. Like, that is clearly a coaching issue that you can't put any points on the board. Like, that has to be a coaching issue. So I would agree that if we lose again in a similar fashion, that you should see some action. But whether or not you will, I don't think so. I don't think.
No, I don't. I think that I was already, Kevin, your sentiment, that's where I was coming into this game. That's like where the fan base was heading into the Patriot game. And then we get absolutely embarrassed. And the thing about this game is it was so clear that he was outcoached.
Right.
And they didn't have a better roster than us. They don't have better players than us.
No.
They just outcoached us. So if you're not going to fire a coach when he was just blatantly outcoached, you're never going to fire him until at the end of the year.
Right.
Embarrass us once, shame on you. Embarrass us twice, shame on me. Embarrass us thrice.
Embarrass us for 4 years.
10 times.
Shame on
stick around.
Let's see what happens. Let's roll the dice.
Honestly,
let's see what happens.
I think it was a text in our group that is like, so how much worse can it get? That's just kind of where it is for me. What are we picking 4th right now in the draft? So what you gonna do?
Yeah, it's the other games you could say that we at least had a chance because we would lose by 1 score. There was no chance. Like, it wasn't mistakes. You couldn't say, well, it was this or it was that. Like, you can only say it's the coaching and special teams, but like that all again goes back to coaching. So appreciate it, Mike. Thanks for reaching out. And then we have Karen, one of our favorites here at the Charger Chat podcast, aka Karen Loves Sports. She asked me to do an impression. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it all that well, but here goes, Karen. Shoot. I didn't keep track, but how many hurries and how many knockdowns did Herbert have last game? I mean, dadgummit, kid is a beast, just like any other QB we know.
Yeah, like, we're beyond lucky to have the fact that we had Phil for all that time and the just superhero that he is, playing with like a ruptured foot, and now we got Herbert. So we're just lucky, Karen. We're just lucky.
We're just lucky, and to continue having an offensive line that's more Swiss cheese than anything else. I mean, it's unfortunate because Herbert has played so well under pressure earlier in the season, and now the pressures, I don't know if it's getting to him or what the issue is, but it's something is happening, and again, just glad that he's able to get back up after getting hit and rushed as many times as he does. So appreciate it, Karen. Thank you very much. Next, we've got Sad Chargers fan, a.k.a. ADM4156. No words to say tonight. I was disgusted before the half was even over. I thought the Bills game was embarrassing and should have been Lynn's last, but TT is a bitch. There's Justin. TT is a bitch.
I still, you could say whatever, like, a lot of people want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I get it. I don't think Tom Telesco's going anywhere. And I don't think at this point it's just a Tom Telesco decision to fire whoever he wants. I think the Spanoses have their fingers in too much. And I think that's always been the case with the Chargers. I just think it's a reality. You look at somebody posted a picture of like the Spanos sitting in their box, and it was like, who's the son that is in charge of football operations? Which Spanai is that?
Who cares?
Whatever. Alex. No, Alex, that's dead. Whatever. One of the one that's in charge of it was sitting down, kind of looking all grumpy, all hunched up, and then the other two were over his shoulder, like standing there. It's like there's something going on there where I just feel like they're not letting Telesco do what he needs to be doing, and then that's just my thought. Whatever. I don't have any proof, but that's just how it feels.
I mean, you can sing his praises on some of the draft picks, but again, you don't know how these draft picks are going to turn out. So getting Herbert, I mean, you can't just say that was Tom Telesco. Like
Right.
Burrow was off the board and Tua was off the board.
Right.
So unless
he didn't have a choice.
Right. So unless he was picking Jordan Love or Jalen Hurts, which like you wouldn't at that 6th round pick or that sixth pick, you have to pick Justin Herbert. So it's hard to sing his praises for picking Justin Herbert. Now, there are other players that we've picked up in the past that, like, yes, they've done very well, but there's obviously more to the general manager position than just draft picks and, signing other free agents to sometimes ridiculously low contracts, sometimes ridiculously high, and looking at Trey Turner. There's just so much more to it that I don't see why they should keep him around.
Ooh,
I don't think he's as much of a lock as we would like him to be. I think he has made good first round draft picks, but then again, he drafted Jerry Tillery, who's been a complete and total bust,
right?
In my opinion. And later on in the draft, like the Drew Tranquil pick was really good. We thought the Josh Kelly pick was awesome, not as great. The Trey Pipkins draft pick, pretty awful.
Yeah.
So there's definitely been some questionable decisions made. And then in free agency, Balaga, kind of a blah, the Trey Turner trade is now looking worse and worse as we go.
Well, the previous years, like Hayward, that was a huge signing.
Casey Hayward was a good trade. There's good and bad. There's good and bad for sure.
I'm not saying that it's all bad,
but I just don't think. No, but he's not a seal. He's not a lock. Best GM in the NFL.
I don't think I'm not saying that. I'm saying based on our conversation earlier, he's not going anywhere. We got 3 more years with Herbert. It's starting over from full on scratch makes no sense if we have a good roster.
Right.
Everyone says we have one of the best rosters in the league. We can all get pissed off right now about how things are going and like really start to look back at all the guys that didn't work out. Like look at a whole bunch of other teams that have had picks that didn't work out. We did get Keenan Allen in the 3rd round. There's been a lot of hits. There's been some misses, definitely some misses, but there have been some hits. So the idea that we're going to throw the baby out with the bathwater, 3rd time I've said that.
Stop
I kind of like that phrase.
Yeah,
it's kind of my thing.
Scary,
it just doesn't make sense if you're saying we got to go win this now. You still need to have him steering the ship. You just need to get the coaching has been the problem this year. That and not having some of our Derwin and some of these guys, Pouncey, some of these guys that we were expecting to have coming into the year. So he can't control injuries. Like we probably aren't having these kind of conversations if Derwin James is playing. In my opinion, it's not at this
can
level.
You?
I don't think I don't think we're 3-9 with Derwin.
Did you draft a guy that had a history of injuries?
Good point.
I get it. You could go back to everything and be like, that was.
You could look. Honestly, you could flip it however
that.
you want. I get it. I get it. I'm just saying, I don't think now's the time to just get rid of everything and start over. That's going to reset you a year or two.
I think though. If you're saying that the issue is coaching, shouldn't it be the general manager's position to say, pack it up and go?
That's what I'm saying. What I just said in the last segment, the Spani are not letting that happen. Is my take.
Is it
that's
their
my
decision
point of view
to make?
Yes, they're the owners of the fucking team. They're not going to allow him to just go and fire somebody.
If they want to, they could go in and tell anyone to do anything.
Dude,
should they? No, but could they? Yeah.
Dude, one of the Spani is like the head of the football operations. Like, what do you think he's
That's
doing?
what I'm saying, though. Like, at a certain point, I mean, that, yeah.
I got him.
It's not that you got me. It's just that, like, that's what the frustration from fans comes from. I mean, yeah, number one, we don't know. But
this is all me guessing, too.
No, I think they're valid observations because it's. You would think that from an ownership that would, and again, it goes back to that culture thing from Dave. Like, if the ownership's expectations was we have to be the best and nothing else will be tolerated, we wouldn't be in this situation, and we wouldn't have this general manager, and we wouldn't have this coach, at least at this point in the season. So you would think that yes, the general manager needs to go along with the coach, but you're right. It's the Spanos is running the ship right now, and you can only imagine how much they have their fingers in everything. So I think they're all valid points. I do think I mean, if you ask us, I think TT should go. I think if you're going to start over fresh completely. Start off with a new general manager, start off with a new coach, and change that culture. Will it happen? No, I don't think it will happen. Should it happen? I think it should. I think you should start over completely fresh because right now, all this is a bitter taste in our mouth, and it's going to stick around. It's not going to just completely change next season. I think even if you get a new coach, if you still have some of those same front office people hanging around, that bad taste is still going to be there, and the players are going to taste it more than we do.
All right. Well, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Let's just agree to disagree on the general manager bullshit for now. Give it another week, and we'll circle back around to Tommy T. But for right now, he's good with me. Let's move on.
I try to support the coaches, and then I reach my snapping point, and for some reason, Kevin's all about the general manager support. We'll see what that tipping point is for you, dude.
We'll see.
Maybe it's another. We draft another quarterback in the first round next year. That'll be your tipping
point.
Be
hilarious. And the hilarity of all this is that it's none of our decisions. It's just our perspective, our own opinions. So whatever happens, and we will continue to run this Charger chat as long as our sanity stays intact. Let's get off a sad Chargers fan. Thank you, by the way. Let's now go over to Salty Sports Guy, aka Salty Sports Dude, who asked the question.
Don't have a question, but just wanted to say that even though the season has been rough, listening to your podcast has been great, and I always look forward to my weekly therapy session with you guys. After this week, I'm definitely gonna need another one. Bolt up, stay salty.
I like he's got his own hashtag. Yeah, thank you, Salty Sports Guy.
Thank you.
We feel we need it too.
It's brutal. It is absolutely brutal. But hey, I've had some laughs so far, and hopefully they can continue on into next week.
Thank you for your kind words too about the podcast. We love doing it. We like that you guys like listening.
Next is an old favorite, Tyler Foffey, aka Iowa Bolt Fan 54. I don't even want to talk about the coaches. But what about Kenneth Murray? I can't wait to see more Wrecking Ball 56, assuming Gus continues to let him play to his strength.
Hey, we talked about this. I agree. Like that, he was the bright spot in that game. Just seeing him run around and just be a monster. So
got his first sack.
Yeah, dude. I'm hoping they let him loose a little bit. Take some chances. Like, fucking, what is there to lose now?
Yeah.
Put him on the line, let him come off the edge and do what he's really good at doing.
Appreciate it, Tyler. Next we have Adam Spellhog, who was our fan focus last week. Giving me a bit of a challenge here, Adam. I'll do my best. Oh yeah. Moving on from this season, don't you know? Who would be your top internal free agents to keep? Hashtag Fargo. March. Gonna barf.
Gonna barf. You're a super lady.
You're a super lady.
Mine is Hunter Henry. Just seeing how Belichick hugged him. I didn't like seeing that at all. So
yeah,
you sign him.
Don't even think about it, Hunter.
Don't just sign Hunter Henry now.
Yeah, don't send Hunter to the Patriots. Send Belichick to the Chargers.
That's
what I'm saying.
Hunter's the big one for me. I think outside of that, I'm open to suggestions from you guys.
I mean, Hunter's big to me. If we can get Ingram back on a decent contract, I mean, his leadership would be great to have, and also just having him on the other side of Bosa would be great. But again, that's all dependent on the money that he's asking for. Same thing with Perryman. I would love to have Perryman back.
Yeah, Perryman's would be fun too, but he's just injury prone.
I think Michael Davis has been our best corner of the year. To think we're gonna go out and get these great new guys, I don't know, man. Like, I guess you kind of got to wait and see how the draft goes before that it gets solidified. If you draft a corner in the first round, if that's how things shake out, then yeah, you move on. Because Casey's still under contract, but I've been pleasantly surprised with Mike Davis's his progress this year. He's actually filling the box and hitting a little bit. He's tackling people in the box, which is his to me, his physicality is what was always lacking. Now, is that only because it's a contract year and he's going to go back to being a fluff ball after he gets paid? Maybe, but I think he's taken some steps forward here this year. So I wouldn't mind seeing him get signed, but I agree. Hunter Henry, I think, is the big guy.
That's the definite.
Melvin Ingram, I think, is gone. He gets paid $16 million right now. Like, he's not going to take less.
No.
You know, he's 32. This is going to be his last contract.
Yeah.
So I think Hunter Henry's he's 26 years old, man. He's still got the best 4 years of football in front of him. So
that's an investment.
Yeah, it's worthwhile.
Yeah, that's a worthwhile investment. I mean, just speaking, freely, I'd like to see Isaac Rochelle come back. I think he's great on the depth. I think Rayshon Jenkins has been playing. I mean, he's been playing like just about every snap. I think I'd love to have him back again. It all depends on what kind of a money they're asking for, and where we decide to spread that money around. Outside of that, man, I'm tough to
maybe Balaj,
to beg and plead for anybody.
Maybe Kalen Balaj wouldn't be that expensive to resign.
He's not going to be expensive.
So
yeah, he's not going to be expensive. That wouldn't be bad. Him, Eckler, 1-2 punch is it's kind of nice. You get that big bruiser that can get the hard yards. I wouldn't mind, but it's like usually there's guys that pop up on this that I'm like, oh man, we better keep him. We better keep him. We better keep him. This one, it's like Hunter Henry's that guy. Other than that, it's like, I don't know, like they're good, but like I'm sure we can find somebody else type of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
There's need and there's want. Like we need to keep Hunter Henry. We'd want to keep some of these other guys, but it all depends on where the money goes.
Looking at this list, I think Michael Davis and Hunter Henry are like my targets, and then right below that is Denzel Perriman. That's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then we're just so salty on this offensive line right now. You got to look at it. Like Dan Feeney,
Sam Tevy,
Forrest Lamp, Tevy, they're all on this list. Like most of our offensive line is on this list of.
Well, which I guess means they're all gonna go.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
You get $16 million on Melvin Ingram's contracts. You take that, you take a couple of these other contracts, put them together into a little contract sandwich. You could probably throw some money at some undrafted. Throw some money at some free agents. So who knows?
Don't you know?
Don't you know? All right. Moving on now to Aaron, a.k.a. Vrabel56. He asked for a tough one this week. I don't know. I'm going to do my best. It's funny. George Stewart gets demoted to the motherfucking offense, and our motherfucking offense suddenly struggles. That is my best Samuel L. Jackson that I can give.
You just gotta throw in a whole bunch of fuckins, and then
motherfucker.
he fucks everything. So it's just.
And you will know my name is the Lord.
It is an interesting point, Aaron. I hadn't really thought about that. This George Stewart character seems like a bit of a.
He's a human COVID. He's a human COVID, just moving around in different rooms. He's just a walking
infection.
Yeah, he's just infecting everybody. Good point, though.
Good point. Get rid of him.
Good point.
Not to make light of COVID or anything. That wasn't my intention. Just
no.
If anything, you made dark of COVID. George Stewart's impact is serious.
All right.
You just took it over the top there, Kyle.
Let's get us out of this. So normally this would be the portion of Ask Twitter that I'd reach over to my man Craig from Texas, but understandably he just couldn't bring himself
radio
to
silence
utter these words. So he asked me to do this in the voice of a Grinch. Now, obviously, there's many choices for the Grinch. You could go the old classic. Boris Karloff. You could go the newest Benedict Cumberbatch, but I think if I'm going to do this and have any fun with it, it's got to be the Jim Carrey Grinch. So hold on. Show's over. Turn off the lights and cancel Christmas. Get Telesco, Lynn, and the rest of the shit squad out of here. It's gone on now for far too many weeks, and I've had enough. Someone needs to be held accountable for the abject ineptitude permeating through our team. Telesco doesn't seem to have the stones to give Lynn his walking papers, so he needs to ride out with him. Keeping the staff intact for the remainder of the year seems absolutely zero purpose. There's nothing to play for, and the team, with the exception of a few, have clearly quit. Lynn keeping Herbert in during that massacre was inexcusable.
What sort of lesson is there to be learned from getting your brain beaten and potentially getting seriously injured? Lines have been crossed, and the fan base deserves better. The span I need to put real football people in place instead of letting Dean's doof sons run around playing team builder like in a game of Madden. Either that, or sell the team to people who actually care about giving us a quality product. P.S. Bite me, Dean.
Oh my God, dude. He incepted me. He incepted me. All that stuff I brought up about the span eye and all that shit. He incepted me. I forgot. Good work. Sorry.
He
plagiarism.
The span eye.
Plagiarize. I plagiarized the span eye. My apologize.
I apologize.
All right.
We agree.
That was good, dude. That was a solid. That was a solid Grinch. I feel it.
Yeah,
it's Christmas
good
spirit.
grammar too. There's some big words in there. I didn't really.
There
know
were.
all of them.
It's tough to be in character, Craig, when you've
Well
got
written.
so many big words.
Well written.
Always well written. Always well spoken, and hopefully we get you back next week. But I feel you, dude. Like the rest of us, it's tough to put your lips to a microphone in these trying times. And lastly, to get us out of this is a soundbite that we had come in. It's going to be Scott from OC. What do you got for us, Scott?
Hey, guys. Scott from Orange County. Look, I'm not even going to touch the game. Just as an emotionally positive Chargers fan, I'm going to give a little glimmer of hope here, okay? So look, in week 1, we played against the Bengals, and then we lost 4 games. After that, in week 7, we played the Jaguars, and Herbert had the best game of his life. Then we lost 3 games after that. Then in week 11 against the Jets, Herbert again won and had the best game of his life. We've just lost 2 in a row. So if this season has showed us anything, Herbert might be looking to have the best game of his life in week 14 against the Falcons. I don't know. Just something for you guys. Keep bolting up. Okay, love you. Bye.
Great point, Scott.
I love it.
I'm excited about the Falcon game now. Thank you.
I'm not good at math, but I sign off on that.
The 4-3-2 type of sequence, I get it.
Yeah, sequencing.
I like
I'm excited.
Oh, dude, let's go. We're going to win this
Career
one.
day.
Best game of his life. I love it. Hell yeah. No, honestly, I'm not being sarcastic. Like, I'm actually pumped up now. Thank you, Scott.
All right, let's all curb our enthusiasm.
Whoa!
The next game we've got is against the Atlanta Falcons, who are currently 4-8. Their wins have been over the Vikings, the Panthers, the Broncos, and that sweet win against the Raiders. And Manischewitz, the kicker on this team, is someone that we all know and never really loved. That's Mr. Younghoe Koo, who is 6 for 6 on field goals over 50 yards. He's made 29 field goals, first in the NFL, 109 points scored, first in the NFL. Dadgummit, man. Are we just like the team that like just totally doesn't take advantage of player potential, and then they go to another team and just blow it up?
The grass is greener always when you're a Charger player. Like, wherever you go, you're going to do better. I don't know.
It goes back to the organization, dude. These guys don't want, like, it's almost like harder to perform when you're a Charger.
Right.
I don't understand it, but that just seems to be the case. It's every year somebody leaves and then they go have a breakout season.
Yeah.
You hate to see it. I mean, it's good for Younghoe Koo. Good for him.
Yeah, no, good for you, but I
wish you could have done it when you were freaking here.
All right. We gave you your first try.
Yeah, we gave you a shot. This is how you treat us, you fucking. All right, let's make our way out of this podcast and now look over to our bolt predictions against the Atlanta Falcons. This will be a color rush game too, by the way. The one of the 2 jerseys I bought was the Bosa color rush jersey. I cannot wait to see these guys in that royal blue color. So what are you thinking there, Kyle?
Ooh, I go first. Well, I experimented last week with saying that we'd lose, and that just
look where that got us.
That ended terribly.
Kyle.
Yeah. Well, we usually lose anyways, but that one was catastrophic.
Yeah. So let's not do that anymore.
Yeah, we're gonna go away from that. I'll go back to hoping and predicting that we win. So I don't know, dude. I'm gonna go big. I think Atlanta's gonna score some points. So I'm gonna go 31-27 Bolts. And I have, let's think.
After a
here.
shutout game, we're going to make 31 points next
Dude, we
week.
scored every other week. We scored 30 points until this week.
Yeah.
So it's like we're going to get back on our normal trend. And I think that we're going to keep Julio Jones to under 50 yards receiving.
Ooh.
That's gonna upset a lot of fantasy owners, my friend.
I know, first week of playoffs.
Well, good, because I'm out of the playoffs in
I know,
both
me too.
leagues. So
yeah,
I'm still in the playoffs.
Yeah, good for you. We're all happy.
Whatever.
For
You're the
What do you
commissioner
think?
of both leagues, you fucking cheater.
Cheater. What are you talking about?
You
First pick
cheater.
in both leagues.
Dude, first pick. McCaffrey hasn't played it all this year, so you can off with that.
It doesn't matter. You still got the 11 and 12.
Whatever.
I know. You're a better draft coach than we are, Kev. We
all
acknowledge you.
So I think I'm gonna go Chargers win just because I have to say that. I don't know why, but I feel like I have to. Let's just go 23-21. Chargers win. That's my bold prediction.
Is that Chargers win?
Is that the Chargers win?
It's sad.
What about you,
that we've
Bulldog?
had to do that more than once.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say we're due for an upset, and it would just make it would just be the absolute comedy to lose the way we did against the Patriots, get knocked out of the playoff contention, and then come back and just totally smack Atlanta for no reason because we have nothing to gain from it.
Right.
I'm gonna say Chargers win 27-14. And I think Eckler gets a touchdown.
Bold. I like it.
Hey, guys, our bold predictions.
We're falling apart. This whole segment might need
We
to be
have no
removed
faith in our
next week.
team. We don't know what's gonna happen.
We are.
Yeah.
We're lost.
We are lost as everybody else. So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for us here. Finally, a Charger chat. I can't believe it's gone on as long as it did. It's amazing to me. I thought we were going to be like, okay, yes, the Chargers lost. Goodbye, everybody.
Well, sometimes like the negativity, there's a lot more to talk about.
Yeah.
You can get more passionate about it.
That's
It's
true. We
easier to
did
talk
get pretty
about a loss
passionate.
than a win.
We did get pretty passionate. So thank you, everybody, for sticking around with us. As always, don't forget to bolt up because we're ready for any squad, any place.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Motherfucker. And now, a word from our sponsors. We understand this year has been extremely stressful on people from all walks of life. And if you're a Chargers fan, you might find yourself so upset on Sundays that you end up pooping your pants. We understand, and we're here to help you get your independence back. So before you drop hot sloppies in your khakis next Sunday, grab yourself a pack of Lynn-Depends. Lynn-Depends are the only brand of undergarment that ensures even if you BM your britches, you can remain confident the rest of the day, week, or football season. Anthony, did you boom yourself again?
I'm not sure.
That's right. When you wear Lynn-Depends, you don't have to worry about whether you doo-dooed your dungarees. You can stand confident and not just independent, but Lynn-dependent. Before you plop your pants this Sunday, be Lynn-dependent with Lynn-Depends.